The following program is presented by Ride the Wave Media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for all our videos at Ride the Wave Media Podcast. Enjoy the program.
Tea. It's tea.
You have tea in your mug, not wine.
Tea.
Tea.
Well, after the comedy rumble, I need freaking tea. I need tea.
You actually, I have to say, Seth, you really crushed on Comedy Rumble, and I literally have dozens of cousins in my DMs still screaming at me that Seth was robbed.
Well, first off, you never sent your cousins my phone number. So first off, tweet them all right now. Give them my social media. I could use the followers.
100% will.
Just tell them I'm Donny Osmond. They're Mormons, so they'll love it.
They will love it. They really love you. And I loved having, by the way,
I love them.
This is Seth. This is my friend Seth. Seth is a fabulous entertainer from Las Vegas, Nevada. He came up to be on one of my shows up here in Salt Lake. He actually came to this house that I was in. He was part of a spontaneous housewarming party that we had after the show. So
fun.
It was super fun. And then you were on the most recent Comedy Rumble down in Las Vegas. Seth, is there anything you want to say about yourself? Anything you want to say to introduce yourself to my listeners?
Well, my name is Seth Robichaux. I am a comedian, singer, actor. I'm a whore for show business. So it's a problem, which is why I have been brought to this meeting here today that I've been told is a podcast, but I think it's an intervention. We'll see.
Surprise! So Seth, we had you on the Rumble last Saturday, and it was so fun. It was especially fun because there were a whole fleet of my this was actually really unexpected. I knew that one member of my family texted me, and they're like, "Hey, I'm coming to the show. Maybe some people will come with me." Right. And then I turn up, and literally it was like 13 of my cousins and one brother, and then a couple of like brothers-in-law, and they all just kind of like showed up, and they gave me, it was like a really fun moment for me because not a lot of family have been out to my shows. And so it's kind of this really magical moment for me where I was like, oh my gosh, this thing that I've been working really hard on, suddenly I've got all of this family that I wasn't expecting who've now shown up to it. And then they parked it on the front row, and I think they deeply, deeply fell in love with you.
I fell in love. I will be a sister wife to any of your cousins. I would be thrilled to be one of their 7 wives.
They would be thrilled to have you.
I loved them.
They're so fun, and they had such a good time. They were adamant that you came in second.
Don't get me started on this.
Well, actually, I'm hoping to get you started on this.
I'm just going to say the way Bette Midler was robbed by Sally Field in 1979, which is for the gays. That was me.
Yes.
No, yes. I'm kidding. I'm thrilled that the other contestant won because he was fabulous, really funny. I'd never seen him before. Really great. I mean, he only been doing comedy for like 6 months, so I'm thrilled that he won.
He was like 3 months in.
Yes, but I'm just gonna say for your demographic, white straight man won, old woman lost.
Well, but
not very popular right now.
in defense of the white straight men who were my white straight men that came, at least the polygamous white straight men.
Yes,
they hated Jason, the guy that won.
Oh well, we don't want to hate Jason.
They were angry with him. They were like, "No, Seth." One of my cousins came up to me. He cornered me in the bar in the after party, and he was like, "Dude, love Jason. He's great. I'm glad he brought his friends. Seth was 100 times funnier than Jason was."
And that's why your cousin and I are getting married, and we just haven't told you.
And that's why we are excited to announce the marriage of Seth and all of my cousins. Actually,
I was about to say, which one's the cute one?
I think what's actually going
there
to
was
happen.
one that was really cute. And I said to myself for a second, I was like, man, if only I was a sister wife, you and me. You
could potentially be the sister wife to all of them.
That's right.
Which would not be okay for with the real rules, but I think they would make it.
Really?
No, they would not.
Okay.
Because you're only in polygamy, you're only men can have multiple wives, but wives can't have multiple husbands.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so I have to pick. I feel like Snow White and the Seven Mormons. Oh, this is so this is horrible.
How are you? Well, it sounds like you already have picked. You've got one like that one was cute.
I've got one that I got cornered, but it was because he gave me the look. And you could tell I went to private school.
Yes. He's like,
it's the look of meet me after football tryouts. No. So
what I loved about that night though, because that night was
they were great. It was so fun.
So magical. The crowd was great. All of the comics did such a good job, and it was so cool because like I'm actually gonna have Jason. Jason's probably the next person that's gonna come on. And I've loved talking to him. I've loved getting to know him afterwards. And I think that
he's great.
One of the things that was interesting about that show and interesting about that night in particular is that it's sort of set up progressively, right? So you do 1 minute at the beginning, and then if you get through to the next round, you do 3 minutes, and if you get through, you get 5, and then if you win, you get 10. And Jason is new, right? He's a couple months into this thing, and as I know, it takes a long time to write material sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes we're like, sometimes years. And so Jason, he got about halfway through his 10 minutes at the end, and he kind of ran out of material. Like he didn't really have, and so we got to kind of like watch him what all comics have to do at some point, which is
crowd work.
Things to stay on stage and then figure out what to do.
Yes, and that's how I think some of the best material comes out. You know what I mean? I've even done, because I grew up in theater, right? So I'll never forget, I was like 15 years old and I was doing a musical and I was on stage. It was opening night and I'm singing to the person on stage with me, just she and I forgot the words to the song. And I swear to you, I blacked out. And I rewrote the lyrics. They rhymed and made sense.
Mm-hmm.
I rewrote the lyrics in my head. So now it's really fun because when I'm performing with a live band on stage as well, like, as you know, I sing, I will sometimes just tell them, play something, give me an idea, and we will riff off of each other. And it's so much fun.
I love that so much. That reminds me of literally right before I came to the show last Saturday, I just spent 2 weeks in New York. And the first week, I got invited out there by a friend who lives there, and it was magic. It was like we had a magic time. But the first week that I was there, I was in upstate New York at this farm in upstate New York. It had like this recording studio in the basement, and I was there. The guy that invited me out there, he owns a design studio out in New York, and so he was basically it was basically like their company retreat for like 15 people. And because they're all creative artist types, what we did for the creative retreat is we played music all week. We were just in the basement. There were drums. There was like guitars. There was a grand piano, tons of recording equipment. And for the first time in my life, I got to be part of a band. And what I learned by being in part of a band is there's this fabulous kind of improvisational thing that happens when you are in that sort of flow state, where someone will pitch something like a little idea, and then someone can grab onto that and they can run with it, and they can grab, and the flow that I experienced in that room was magic. And it reminds me of what you said, singing that song where you sort of black out, but then you're in it. You're just in it. You're just spontaneously creating. And those moments are magical.
Music and comedy are one and one. They're a quarter of a way from each other. They're literally the flip of a coin. And why I say that is because I do a lot of musical comedy in my act. Like my act is not a straight stand-up act. It is a comedy variety act is what I call it, or musical comedy variety. And I love that for that purpose, because they are so much in sync. Comedy is music. Comedy is choreography. Mm-hmm. It's like dancing. Yeah. Because you're think of it this way, you're tap dancing at 100 miles a minute, And any little banana peel that you slip on, metaphorically, of course, you have to figure out how to get up and get back into that step in a millisecond so you don't lose the audience.
Yeah.
So comedy is music in a way. And I've always said this and heard this, that good musicians are good comics and good comics are good musicians or singers.
I believe that. Because there's something about the immediacy of it, right? Just like and I love too that idea of just play something and I'll riff. We'll just play with it, right? We'll just play.
Yeah.
And what was so fun to me about Saturday, about the Rumble on Saturday, was number one, seeing all of these fantastic comics, some of whom had never performed on a weekend stage before. So
which is incredible that you gave everyone that opportunity. I'm going to brag on you.
Please, I love it when people brag on me.
Well, I will brag on you, and I'm going to brag on Kay Banks, who's also one of my one of my closest friends out here, and I adore her. And she was your co-host for the evening and creator of the Vegas Comedy Rumble with you, I believe. Yeah. And you guys, I mean, you brought the house down with the comics you picked for this show. You know what I mean? And it was great. As much as it was a quote unquote competition, no one felt in competition with each other. We all were just like working actors. It's like, I don't know if you've ever done theater, but it's like you're getting ready for opening night of a show. And, you're not exactly, because you're on stage with somebody else. You see, it's not just you in this kind of a show. So you're dependent on your counterpart, your competition, in so many words, to be up to your energy level to keep it going for the audience. So it was really, you guys put on such a great show.
Well, and I loved too seeing them do that and realizing, right, that because like right before that we went up, I called everyone together and I was like, look, you guys, we're in competition. And the competition in some ways is a little bit of a gimmick to, not that it's a gimmick to get the audience involved, and not that it's fake. It's just that it's sort of saying, hey, we're going to play this role, and the role we're going to play is that we're in competition with each other. But really, every single comic that got up on stage on Saturday came off looking great. They all killed. Every single person killed. And so even if you got eliminated, I was talking to I've talked to comics afterwards who got eliminated in the first minute. So they only did 1 minute and then a little bit of an interview. And afterwards they were like, oh my gosh, I've never gotten laughs like that. And I'm like, look, here's what you've got to do, right? It's not a competition. Comics are not competing with each other.
No. Because everybody's different.
Everyone's different. Everyone's voice is different. So my perspective as a comic, the only thing I can do is I can exercise my voice. I can really lean into my perspective. And nobody else has my perspective. And nobody else has your perspective. And nobody else has anybody else's perspective of any of the 8 comics that were on that stage. And so all of them walked out of that looking fabulous. And because they looked fabulous, now they can sort of capitalize on that energy, on that momentum. I've got comics that are now getting booked at other shows because they were on that stage. And that thrills me. In fact, it was kind of funny because I've been at this game and I've been real focused at this game for about 3 years. And the dream for me at first was I got to get my own headlining hour, and I've got to get my own, like, I'm headlining. It's my show, right? And I've done that probably like 12 times now. And I just had a show last weekend. It was a fun show. It was a weekend. The Friday show was pretty great. The Saturday show sold out. It was super fun. And as I'm on stage doing my hour, the thing that I've been like, oh, this is the thing I've got to do. I kept like, and everyone's having a good time and it's great. It's great. And I keep thinking to myself, this would be way better if this were a Rumble. Because there's something about the collaboration and the cooperative energy of that thing that we've co-created that's really fun to be involved in.
Well, and that's what's great about, because what you do with the show you do, a Rumble, is you take energies and you bring them together, different energies of different people, some polar opposite, considering me and my competition at the end of the night, Jason, so polar opposite. I mean, oh my God, the only time he and I would be in the same room is if we met on Grindr. I mean, You have no idea. So honestly, but it worked because, and this is the one thing I'm not one to give out advice. I mean, I've been doing stand-up comedy now for 4 years, but no, how long have I been doing? Wait. Yeah, 4 years. I had to check mentally. So I've been doing it for 4 years now, but I don't give out advice, but the one thing I will always say to anybody is just be yourself. As outrageous as yourself might be, clearly, you can't make this shit up. As outrageous as yourself might be, do it, because an audience is going to root for you 10 times more if you're just doing your thing as you.
Totally.
And not trying to be anybody.
I think that is one of the things that draws people to comedy is the seeing people in sort of this absolute free expression of themselves.
Yeah.
Where they can say, and I think, because I really believe that there's a really deep purpose or a deep meaning underneath what we do as comics. And it's silly, haha, funny at the top. It's stupid and fun. But I think underneath that, there's actually some really deep societal and spiritual value. And I think part of that is that in so many ways in our world, we are our self-expression is restricted, right? We're told you got to wear this, you got to look like this, you got to have this job, you got to drive this color of car. There's so much about our world that says you got to do this, and to just be in an environment where someone is up there freely expressing whatever it is that they think, and that they're doing it. And even if they don't say everything, the expectation is that they can say anything. So you're in an environment where any kind of expression is allowed as long as it's funny. And I think that is really beautiful.
Yes. And I'm a big believer in that, especially in the world we live in today. First off, you see me perform. I'm very no holds barred, and it's funny because I think people, I come on stage looking very put together, and people expect, oh, he's going to say a couple of gay jokes. You know what I mean? And then my mouth opens and they're like, what? But it's because my stage, not persona, but stage self is, let's talk about everything. Everything's on the table, and let's talk. Life is not easy. Life is hard. So let's laugh about it. If I can laugh at me, you can laugh at you, and we can all laugh together. And that's what it's about.
People talk about like making light of things. I've been told a lot of times on my socials, if I'll post clips on stuff like I did, I made a joke about the day after the day after the first Trump attempted assassination, which was wild that we had more. The day after number one, I got on, it was actually that night, I got on TikTok and I was like, I made a dumb joke about how the Secret Service should have yelled like Donald Duck or something. And which I thought was pretty funny, not super smart, but it was right there and it had to be said.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, but you had the balls to say it.
Well, I did. And when people, some of the backlash that I got, right, a lot of people said, oh, you shouldn't make light of that. And I love that I love that idea that you shouldn't make light of something, because what comedy really does is it shines a light, right? It takes the light and it brings it into the dark. But again, as long as you're funny, right? And that's sort of the rule. The rule is, yes, you can say anything, but you got to make it funny. And so if you're going to go into that dark place, I'll go with you there, but you sure as fuck better have some light there at the end of it. And I think that is the most powerful thing about comedy for me, is that if I can laugh at something, it means it doesn't have power over me. It means I have power over it.
You are so hammer on the nail with that, because it is so true. If you can laugh at something and say, haha, I do not fear you, there you go. Oh, I make jokes. In my act, I make jokes. I call these the non-social media jokes, the ones that'll never get posted in a reel, because they're a little too real. And it's, no pun intended, but it's so true. I joke about everything. I joke about the war. I joke about I don't get political, but I joke about actual world events because it happened. You should remember it happened, because And let's look at it though in a humorous way, so we're not fearful of it. You know what I mean?
Can we twist it a little bit to remind ourselves, not that that thing is worth making fun of, but that we are worth being able to laugh, right? We are worthy.
Yes.
We deserve to be able to not be weighed down by our burdens. We are worthy of being able to say, no, I'm not going to let that thing, even though it sucks, I'm going to find something funny about it so that I can move on. And so if just for a moment in this crowded comedy club with a bunch of other people, I don't have to be scared of that thing anymore. I can just find it funny.
True. Yes, exactly. Find the funny. You know, there's a great quote that Carrie Fisher used to say, and she used to say, she played Princess Leia in Star Wars, I'm sure, as you might know, but she was a writer, prolific, brilliant writer. And she used to say, if my life weren't funny, it would just be true. And that's unacceptable. And I think that is the quote every comedian should live by, because it is so
good.
It's so true. Because, you think of it this way. My car got broken into about a couple of weeks ago. Nothing was stolen. They just broke into the car. And then, of course, I'm getting dressed for a show. I go down to the car. I had not been to my car all day. I go down to the car. And I see it's broken. Call the police. Police come up to me. I'm dressed just like this. The police say, oh, well, I think they were looking for drugs. And I'm like, do I look like I carry drugs? I look like the mother of someone who OD'd on drugs. I mean, it's like, what? So if you can laugh about it, that's what it's all about. It's like people take life is meant to be cared for, but it is not meant to be taken seriously or for granted.
Well, I love that nuance, that it's meant to be cared for.
Yes.
And I think one of the most powerful ways you can care about something is to laugh at or with it.
Yeah, you're not laughing at it, you're laughing through it. You're laugh through the pain, laugh through the heartache, laugh through the trauma. I think that's essentially every comedian is what they're doing. We're inviting people to our own therapy session, but through our therapy session, people will go, oh, like your Mormon cousins who are all straight, and I adored them, and I love them. I go to watch football with them anytime. I mean, because I pray that sometimes those kinds of guys who have nothing in common with me, other than the fact that we're both guys, will say, he's got a point. That's funny. Or they see something of me in them, whatever that may be. So that's what it's about.
Yeah. And I think too, that night, like all of them, and I don't know where they're at politically or anything, because I have a lot of cousins, matter. But what I know is all of them loved you.
Oh, right? I loved them.
And what that means then, right, is that, and I think that's why comedy is important. That's why getting into spaces where there are people who are different from you is so vitally important.
Oh, I agree.
You get into those spaces, and at first, maybe you're like a straight white guy sitting in the front row when Seth Robichaux comes out flamboyant as all fuck. And at first you're kind of like, oh, I feel this is a lot. But then as you sort of relax and you loosen up and you laugh, what you realize is we're not so different.
No, I'm just like your grandmother. I mean, it's like, honestly, we're not that different. We are all human. We all have feelings. We all have thoughts. We all have emotions, and so that is the whole thing of my act, at least. It's like, be yourself. I don't care if you're the most boring person on earth. I mean, I'm not going to call you for drinks, but I don't care if you're the most boring person on earth. Be you and be proud of that fact. You know what I mean? Like I always say, I chose to dress like an old whore. No, it's who I am. You know what I mean? Yes. I like to be flashy and I like to wear pretty things. And, that's me. And some guys like to go, look like assholes.
Well, some guys like to wear frumpy t-shirts.
Yeah, some guys like to wear frumpy t-shirts. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I mean. What's funny
too is like I think that because I'm coming from a background right like them where I'm very restricted as a young child, and then as I kind of step out into this world, I find myself expressing more. And what I found that's kind of cool is that there's a lot of there's a lot of self-expression that humans do through clothing that gets controlled in really hyper-religious societies. So hyper-religious societies really want to control the way that you dress. And I think a big part of that is I started expressing, I started getting more flashy. I started wearing like red. You can't really see it now, but I'll get my nails painted sometimes. I still got a little bit left right there. And I love it. I love having my nails painted. And for me, it actually feels really masculine. Like it feels really masculine to have really bright, flashy nails. And I'll even get them a little chipped so that they're kind of a little messy. Cause I'm like, look, I got my nails painted, but also I do shit.
But I get in the dirt. Yeah.
Dirty, you know? And it feels like a really authentic expression of my being. And I love it. I love it.
Well, it is, you know, I mean, I think the thing is there's a really great book out there I recommend everybody to read. It's called The 4 Agreements. And it's about 4 agreements to make with yourself that you will be able to live the life that you want in whatever way that is. And I'm a big believer in, you know, thank God, knock on wood, you know, that we live in a free country that, you know, is fabulous. And you can be different. I wouldn't want everybody to think like me. I'd go crazy. I mean, you have no idea. I would go insanity. So I think it's wonderful to be who you are. And let's not forget, in the 1930s, you know, Katharine Hepburn was wearing pants as a woman. So if a man wants to put on a dress, which is actually, I don't wear dresses because too breezy, you know what I mean? But but if a man wants to dress quote unquote feminine, it doesn't matter, because what I learned in that book, The 4 Agreements, where I'm getting at, is that when we're born into a world. Now, this is the author, Don Miguel Ruiz is his name. I got to give him credit where credit's due. He kind of explains this, which is very beautiful. When we're born into a society that is full of quote unquote agreements. Men should dress like this. Women should dress like this. You know, mainly, you know, that's only changed as in really recent times. Women stayed home, you know, and took care of the house, and men didn't. And of course, now we live in a world where obviously we know that's BS. Anybody can do anything they want to do. You know, men with men, women with women. Anybody can stay home and anybody can get out and work, whatever you want to do. Just have a good credit score if I marry you. So anyway, you know, but that's the great thing, is we're all allowed to be who we want to be. And I think the whole world should operate like that, really. Within means. I mean, morality is a different story, obviously. Do the right thing, be a good person. But it's not killing anybody if I dress like I've had too much wine on Thanksgiving.
Well, and what I've found that I think is interesting is that when I allow myself to do whatever I want, like I think when most people do, what I find is I actually don't want to murder anyone. I don't want to pillage. I don't want to break shit. I actually
because then you'd break a nail.
And then I'd break a nail. That shit's expensive, man.
It's expensive.
I think that humans, I think that we've been fed a myth. I think that we've been fed a myth that humans are bad. Yeah. And I think that humans are actually, I think generally we're pretty it feels good to be good. It feels good to take care of people. It feels good to be kind.
Yes. Well, kindness is, I'm a firm believer in this. I mean, unless quite a few exceptions, I don't have to mention, you know, in the history of the world, because we all know who the bad people in the world are. I mean, we go back to the World War II and all that kind of craziness. But I think at the root of all man and women and is, you know, goodness, I think is happiness, is we all want to be that's the root of us, I think, is we all want to seek happiness. Because if you ask anybody who is, you know, and I will say, because of course, unfortunately, there are people out there who suffer with mental health and all these types of things. And so I think, but if you ask somebody who is grounded and rooted in themselves, truly, they will say they want happiness. You know what I mean? And then, of course, even people who suffer with depression, they want happiness. It's just a greater struggle to get there. And a lot of creatives do suffer with that kind of thing. I mean, I myself have suffered with some of those things. So I think that also is part of the creative process as well. It is that strive, not just to be successful creatively, but to be happy. I think
that finish, and then I'll go.
Oh no, I was just curtailing that with saying, So I really think that's the root of all man. I think that people want happiness, and I think that, when we live in such a heightened world that, like you said, we're fed a myth. Well, I think we're also fed so much fear that to make our minds go in a dark place that they should not be.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important when you wake up in the morning to really, really, really see the world for what it is, which is a beautiful place.
Yeah. It's a fantastically beautiful place. Like sometimes, especially with cause I literally, I'm coming from like a background where we had 8 kids and a tiny trailer. Sometimes the electricity didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, I understand how this house that I'm in, right? Just the fact that we're speaking together thousands of miles away using technology that neither one of us invented or really even understands how it works.
No.
We are constantly being held up in this magical embrace of all the other human creative geniuses who created this world for us. And so if you just sort of sit down and, maybe sit in a chair and just admire the chair that you're in and sort of look at the view that you have and sort of be where you're at, you're in a pretty great spot. And I think that so many, especially at this time in the world, because the world is in flux, the world is pretty chaotic right now. And I think that there are some humans, let's call them powerful evil wizards, who are trying to capitalize on the fear and to heighten the fear, to get us all in this heightened fear response. Because like any good comic knows, and emotion is just energy, right? It's just energy. If you can get people to a heightened state of energy, you can do some crazy cool shit with that energy. And so if you can get a whole group of people riled up in a whole fear state about what's happening or who's coming or who's doing what or whatever, if you can get them going into this fear response, now you've got a massive human energy source that you can skillfully manipulate to do whatever you want. And I think that that's what's happening in some parts of our world today. And I think that's why comedy is so important, is that comedy is the antidote to fear. If I can laugh at something, I'm not going to be afraid of it. And I also think that in addition to that, and this is why I love having you on the show, this is why I love surrounding myself with people who are different than me, is that one of the ways that we're trying to make each other afraid right now is we're tapping into a really old primal system in our brains that says the other tribe is dangerous. So the other tribe is dangerous. We got to be afraid of them. And what we don't understand is that the other tribe actually has assets that we need. The other tribe, that's the power of a diverse community, is that in a diverse community, you've got fucking options because you have more ideas. If all of us are white people and we're all Mormon and we're all seeing exactly the same thing, we all think that exactly the same way, the solution to all of our problems is we'll add another wife. And you got to have more solutions than that. And that's why you need a black person and a brown person and a gay person and a straight person and a whatever way that we've tried to slice and dice all of these humans. We need all of those humans because they've all got something for us. They've all got a little nugget that they've learned from their lived experience that they can offer to help us heal our world. And our world, frankly, is in desperate need of healing. It's in desperate need of healing.
Yes, it is in desperate need of healing. And I think as comedians, any form of entertainment, but especially comedy, what comedy is social commentating. It's talking about things in the world, as I said earlier, that are going on. It doesn't have to be political. Everybody always goes to that automatically. No, it's not about that. It could be as simple as, isn't the price of gas, without even getting into it. People think, oh, well, it's because of this or because of that, or because, no, stop measuring how long it is with each other and just talk about that. People get so worked up over things that in the grand scheme of things, I'm not saying it's not important, but I'm saying, I always say this, in 5 years, is it going to matter? If I have a problem going on today in 5 years, I had a flat tire. Is 5 years going to matter? No. You know what I mean? Now, someone died. That's a bad day. You know what I mean? I have a girlfriend of mine who always says a bad day. Don't ever go and say you have, oh, I have a bad day, bad day. No, a bad day is when someone dies, when you have to get surgery, emergency, when you have to, that kind of stuff. That's a bad day. You know, so really, I think it boils down to counting your blessings. I think it boils down to realizing, like we said earlier, that life is really a gift. You know, time is but a thing. It goes like that. Before you and I both know it, I'll be on my second facelift. You know what I mean? And so you have to enjoy it and laugh at it, and that's really what it boils down. It's a very simple formula, I think. Whenever people really breathe in, breathe out, and realize that.
Yeah. I love that idea. I love that you said life is a gift. I've been
Oh
really
yeah.
reflecting on the idea of giving. I just found this great David Byrne song recently. He talks about it's about there's a line in it where he says, "Life is long if you give it away." And the idea that that, and this is sort of kind of what inspired Comedy Rumble, what sort of pushed me out of focusing on myself and focusing on other people, is answering that question of like, if life is a gift and what I'm here to do is to give that gift away, like to give my life away, not in like a weird, like passive aggressive, like weird, like,
no,
but in a way where I'm empowered in myself. I look at myself and I see the abundance that I have, the privilege that I have, the resources that I have, all of the things that, because if you look at, if any person just stops for a moment and looks at their life, what they will realize is that they have some assets. They have that they can, and everybody needs your help in some way. It doesn't just have to be money, right? And so if you can look at everything that you have and you can say, okay, with what I have, with this abundance that I have, that was just given to me, because like we were talking, like I didn't make this house. I didn't invent it. I don't
exactly.
Right? All of this has been freely given to me, and now I get to give it away. What you'll find, at least what I found, is that suddenly that shifts the way that you orient towards the world. And what you start to do is you start to realize that it's all, the game is giving. The game is, how can I give the most abundant gifts to as many people as I can? And if you're in that energy, it just moves real fast.
Well, it's a snowball effect. You know what I mean? Because what you put out is what you get back. I'm a firm believer in that. And that doesn't mean you go out to do good. That doesn't mean I go out and do good for others because I want to get it in return. It's just the karmic effect of the world, you know? And it's funny because in my life, and I'm sure as in yours, I've had to cut off relationships with people that I really, really, I did love, still do care and wish well, but thought were people that were my people. And then you have to realize, wait a second, how does this person, when I leave this person's aura, how do I feel? Do I feel enlightened or do I feel drained? Mm-hmm. Because that's a big thing. Time, going back to the time is precious thing, and we're talking about giving, I would like to make that known too. Boundaries are a big thing, and it's okay to say no. Mm-hmm. It's okay to say no. No is the most powerful word you can say, and yes is the most other powerful word you can say.
I think you can only really give freely if you know how to say no.
Yes, because
you can only truly give a gift if you can say no, you cannot have this.
Correct, because if you give the gift, you see, and you and I, it will be the gift of entertainment. If you give the gift, and you have those boundaries already in here and in your, I call this the bubble, your bubble. If you have your bubble already up and your boundaries up in your bubble, you will be surprised how many people who can actually read a social cue will respect them and will respect your boundaries and will say, thank you for what you gave me. And that's it. You know, they're not leeching to you. You know what I mean? And that goes for us too, you know, for the things that we do when we, like you said, I mean, it's as simple as, oh my God, somebody created the artwork on this coffee mug. And now it gets to be a piece in my home. Somebody painted that painting up there, and now it gets to be up in my home, and I get to admire it every day. Thank you for that. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to call the artist and go, now I want 25 different others. You know what I mean? No, you appreciate the art and you thank for it. So I think that's what it's about. You know, and I think people want to give. I personally feel fantastic. I do better with giving than receiving personally. You know, I'm very grateful when someone gives me a gift, but it makes me feel better when I give a gift. So I think it is the root of us as humans, and especially entertainers.
I agree. And I read you've thrown out a lot of books. I'll throw one out as well too that I've loved.
Yeah.
Called The Go Giver. And the essence of that book is really the idea that humans, the way that we generate wealth and abundance is through giving, right? It's not through selling. It's not through building business. It's not through it is through when we give, and when we all give, it just creates this incredible spiral of energy where abundance is created. And that's the world that I want to live in.
No, me too. And you know what? Because at the end of the day, you know, when we pass on to the next life, because I believe in an afterlife, certainly, when we go on to wherever you believe, you know, that we may go, those of you who, you know, believe in that, I always think it's rather fascinating, because then there are those who are left on Earth who were with us in this life, you know, until they join us. And so when you pass on, and you have a tombstone, there's your birth date and your death date, and there's a dash in between. And when people look at that dash, what I think subconsciously happens is you go, wow, this little line represents everything you did in this lifetime. So when people look at that, that dash, they're not going to say, oh, I remember so-and-so had such a great credit score. Or, oh, I remember so-and-so, you know, used to get so smashed every night. I don't know. You know, they're going to remember how you made them feel. They're going to remember, you know, sure, they might remember a gift you got for them, but ultimately they're going to remember sacrifices that you made for them and things that you gave them. And I think, you know, so I always have a saying, make your dash count. You know, it's like, it goes back to the number one rule as to why I think you and I are probably both doing comedy and entertaining, is that we want to give to people in this lifetime, and we want to make a mark. And I think it has much, people don't realize that. I think it has much more or less to do with us saying, look at me, 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 and more of, let me enlighten you in a way that can free you of the hardships of life. And that is through laughter for us. You know, for some people it's through other things, but for us it's through laughter.
It's our channel. I love that.
Yeah, it's a channel.
It's our path. We are about at time, so I want to respect that your time, and I want to maybe wrap us up by getting into fabulous conversation, by the way. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
I'm
pleasure.
Thrilled with what we've done. This is a show about the apocalypse. And so
speaking of light topics,
speaking of heavy topics that need the light shined on them.
Joy.
I tell everyone that we are, well, I'll just give you the count now if you'd like it. We are 1,715 days into the apocalypse. So if you have been feeling stressed, if you've maybe had to like sell some artwork for rations.
Oh, that's why the walls are bare. There used to be a Picasso right here.
Yeah, but you gotta get the canned food.
Well, no, I'm a gay. I don't eat. So, you know, but
wait, is that a thing? Is that a stereotype?
Yes. Are you crazy? Oh my God. When I go to Salt Lake City, you don't know these things because the gays are not there, but you know, they're not
actually the gays are very there in Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is fabulously gay. There's a whole street.
No one told me this when I was there. I just hung around the straight people. I didn't know.
Next time you're up here, I'll take you to where the gays are. I know where they live. There's like 5 of them. They're fabulous.
For real, we'll go to tea together.
No, but Salt Lake City is actually quite gay. And the reason is
I'm happy.
It's sort of the mecca of Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, parts of Colorado. Like if you're a gay kid in rural anywhere in the West, you end up in Salt Lake City.
Got moved to Salt Lake City. Yeah. Well, no, it's true. But yeah, gays don't eat. When I go to West Hollywood, oh my God, with all the gay men there, and oh, you have no idea. They look as thin as I look like.
So jacked.
How are they so what?
Like jacked. Like
because they don't eat, and they go to the gym, and I go, and every time I've gone to many clubs in West Hollywood, not one man has hit on me. Do you understand what this does for me? Not one man. Everybody else, you know, my gay boyfriends, they get hit on. Do you know what happens to me? They come up to the bar and say, "Excuse me, Miss Jenner, can I have your autograph?"
Well,
I love your daughter, Kim.
I hope that my entire family hitting on you last weekend made up for that.
It gave me such joy. You can't even compare it.
So on the subject of the apocalypse, there are sort of two questions that I like to ask people. And so the first one is on a serious note, and you can actually make this funny if you want to, because we make the funny serious, or the serious funny.
Or the serious funny.
I think when I talk about the apocalypse, what I really mean is I think apocalypses are a part of this, that's part of the cycles of history, meaning that
correct.
Every so often,
I see,
we build a civilization up to a certain point, and then it kind of crumbles, and then a new thing is reborn from the ashes of that. And I think that's is that this is the crumbling. The way I like to imagine it is if you ever seen like a video or a movie of an avalanche, where there's this moment where there's almost like this crack and the whole mountain kind of cracks, all slides down, right? So COVID 3 years ago, right? 1,714 days ago, that was the big crack. The world cracked.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Everything that's happened since then has just been the slide, right? And we're in the slide right now. And I think that is actually a really, even though it's scary, even though there's a lot to be afraid of for sure right now, especially if you are, I think especially if you present yourself as different from the norm of America. I think that right now is a little bit scary.
I don't know what you're talking. I am as normal as the day is long.
You are as normal, and I love that for you. And I also want to just say that's my world, right? Like I demand to live in a world where all of the normals of all different kinds get to be here. Right?
Yeah. Well, really, what is normal at the end of the day? Let's talk about what was normal. I mean, I could go down a list right now, and I guarantee you all the normal is not normal.
It's not normal. But I do think that we are faced right now with a really beautiful opportunity. And the opportunity is that things are shifting. Things are in flux. Yeah. And so there are parts of the old world that we can let die, or maybe perhaps smother with a pillow on their deathbed. And then there are maybe new things that we may want to be born into the new world. And so I'm just curious from your perspective, Seth, what are the parts of the old world that you hope kind of we let go of? And what are you hoping we birth into this new world?
What do I hope we let go of in the old world? Oh God, let me think. The Kardashians. I'm sorry. I have no time for them anymore. No. What do I think we let go of in the old world? You know what? I don't think, I'm being serious. I don't think it's let go of. It's enlightened in the new. Because I'm a big believer is you can only learn to go forward if you look at where you've been. So don't let go in the sense of forget. Let go in the sense of, I can learn from that. I can learn how to be better from that. I think all prejudice should be letting go. I think it's not necessary, certainly. And not because I'm, if you couldn't tell, a raging homosexual, but also because I think that who has time for it? I mean, my God. Between my hair,
is a busy place. You can't be prejudiced.
I'm busy. I'm too busy doing my hair and makeup and cleaning my bunker. I have too much things to do. You know what I mean? Like in Star Wars, was Yoda prejudiced? And that's 5,000 light years in the future. No. You know what I mean? He took a dumb kid, showed him how to use a dumb sword, and he saved the world. I mean,
the rest is history.
Exactly. So I mean, my point is yeah. So that's what I would like. I would say everybody who is a prejudice, with all love and due respect, go fuck yourself. No, no, seriously. I just think.
Actually, seriously, go fuck yourself. Like go.
Well, no, but when I say go fuck yourself, I don't mean
less prejudice.
Well, but I don't mean in the way that they are going to say, "Oh, look at this." No, I don't mean in an aggressive way. I mean, go educate yourself. I mean, go make something better of yourself because you are worth it. You're worth being better. You're worth being smarter. You're worth being more educated. That's what I mean when I say go fuck. I don't mean get off the earth. I mean, just, we're all given gifts in this lifetime. Every single one of us. And well, except for Pee Wee Herman, but we won't go there. But God rest his soul. But no, I'm kidding. But honestly, that's what it's about, is bettering yourself. And so, taking that around, that's what I would take into the new, is to say, I'm just gonna live my life and be a good and loving person, give to others. Sure, we make mistakes. We're human. We're not meant to be perfect. That's why anybody who puts anybody on a pedestal, so silly. Everybody makes mistakes. So allow people to make mistakes and learn from them. That's what I would say going in. Allow yourself to be human and to be a good human. And that's all that you need, I think. And believe in yourself. For God's sake, don't let anybody going forward in this in your bunker. Anybody in your bunker, when they tell you can't open that can of beans, you can open it.
You can do it.
You can do it. I can't promise you can hold in the gas, but you can do it. You can open. So just be yourselves. Remember, you can do anything you set your mind to, especially if you feel it in your intuition, in your gut. Because that's what I call it your heart, but that's what it's about. So really, it's a very simple rules. I know they're not as dramatic as one should hope, but
I think that's perfect. I think that is exactly, because it's actionable. It's what, because we together, humans acting, doing, that's what's going to make the new world. And if we're all acting from that place, what a beautiful world we'll create.
And don't rain on, and for God's sake, this is also what I mean when I say prejudice. It's not just about people who hate people. Just don't rain on anybody's parade. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
My God, your friends has no taste in clothes. Let them find out on their own. You know what I mean?
Right. Find something, because it's not just like there's big capital H hate, and then there's like lowercase h hate.
Yes,
and lowercase h hate is like just be send some positive energy out there. You'd be shocked the power of just like, I'll walk around and I'll just compliment little things that I notice about.
I do the same thing. Do you know that?
I love your necklace. And it's little things that I see, and the thing that happens to that human where they're just like, because they did that on purpose.
And yes, and you made someone's day. Think about that. Think about how great that really is at the end of the day. That you could tell someone working, let's say you go for ice cream, and you tell the girl working at the register, our guy, that he has great nails, and you can make his day or her day. You can make their day by that little, they could have been having the shittiest day. Their aunt could have died and you could have made it better. So just spread kindness at the end of the day. It's like, don't talk about people behind their back. Don't say it to their face if you have something to say to them. You know what I mean? And say it from a constructive point of view. Say, oh, I don't really agree that you did this, but I'm going to choose to say that's you, not me, and move forward. So it's all about perspective. It's all about wording. And I think we as comics know that the most part. I think it's all about delivering. And the way you deliver a line or a word or a compliment or an insult.
Right.
And so, like people say to me, oh, sometimes you're on stage and you can be very insulted. And it's like, no, I'm not being insulted. I'm not saying anything in my thoughts and opinions that anybody hasn't thought. My comedy is very no holds barred, because everything I talk about is something that I know if people really dig down and deep and think, even if it's about pop culture, we're all thinking. And it's okay, because the person who's making $20 million does not give a damn that I made a joke about them either. That's the point of a joke.
They're fine.
That's the point of it. That's where you get into moral, consciousness of there's a joke and then there's an actual hate and insult, and they're two different things. So that's really what I preach to people is they're two very simple things. So that's when I use the word prejudice. It's as simple as this. Don't hate. Go into the new world with love. That is the two. It's as simple as the day is long.
Last question for you about the apocalypse is this.
Thrilled.
Do you have any useful apocalyptic skills that you could teach me?
Oh,
and that doesn't mean that you just go, excellent. Download it quickly to me. What do you got?
Lip gloss, number one. And because the lights are dim, so you never have a mirror. This is candlelight in front of me right now. But when you apply your lip gloss, you don't have to look. Always just follow the line of the lip, and just feel it. And then you do this and feel the bow of your lip.
The bow. So the bow is, I don't have lip gloss, but it's right here.
Yeah. Yeah, you just feel where you go a little bit up, and you just go. If you place the edge of that. Okay. See. Oh, and see,
oh my God.
You felt that. You feel the little top of your lip. And what that does is it actually, because some people just choose to put lip gloss right here on their actual lip. But if you go on the actual line, you're lining your lips and it makes them look fuller. And when the rescue crews come and they see between you and the person who hasn't shaved their legs, you're on that helicopter first.
I love it. Fantastic skill. Now I know. My lips will be fabulous.
Look good in the apocalypse, because you know what? At the end of the day, and this is said with every ounce of love in the world, at the end of the day, if a firefighter has to pick between this face that has been injected quite a few more times than maybe even Michael Jackson's breast, if a firefighter has to pick between that face and, no offense, but someone who hasn't shaved in about a long time, they're going to pick the face.
You're getting rescued 100%. Yeah.
Well, no, because it's not that. And see, look, I'm going to get hate mail for this. I'm going to get told, oh, you shouldn't tell me not to shave. I'm just saying they're not going to know it's your legs. They're going to think they're in the middle of the forest. They're not going to have any idea. They're not going to have any idea.
They're going to take one look at me and they're going to be like, this guy obviously can save himself.
They're going to think you're a caveman. It's not about, if you don't want to shave in a post, when we're back to a normal world, fabulous. But in an apocalyptic world, things matter. Looks matter.
You know what I love about that is that it's really true. And that's why, in all of the apocalyptic movies, everybody eventually gets their apocalyptic getup and they look fabulous. And
you have to.
You have to look good.
Yes. Well, because here's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? If I was on the Titanic, I would have gotten in a lifeboat before any of the damn women on that ship even, because I look more like a woman than they did back in those days.
They would have given you a whole boat.
They would give me a boat, because you know why? Look, at the end of the day, I think it boils down to one thing. And like I say, I say this with every ounce of love, and everybody deserves all the love. One thing at the end of the day, humans are vain as shit.
It's so true.
With love. We love each other. Be who you want to be.
Oh, I love that we're vain. Yes.
Do what you want to do. Don't shave. But in the post-apocalyptic world, I'm just warning you, it might bite you in the ass.
I agree. Or not bite you in the ass.
Or not bite you in the ass, bite you in the forest, because it's what it looks like.
Oh my God, Seth, thank you so much for coming on this relaunch of my podcast.
Thank you.
Where can people find you, and what do you have going on that you wanna plug?
Oh yeah. Well, you can find me at Seth Robichaux is the name, which I hope if you'll put in spelling for them.
I'll put the spelling in the show notes. Yeah,
that'd be it's going below you right now, folks. But no, because it's a very southern name. I'm from the South, small town in Louisiana. How do you think I survived? And what do I have going on? Oh, I have a lot of fabulous things coming up. I'll be at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club here in Las Vegas next Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. opening for my friend John Caparulo. I'm really excited about that. Next Wednesday, I have my variety show here in Vegas, which is music, comedy, impressions. It's like Carol Burnett on steroids. It's so much fun. And I also, like you, I bring other locals on so we can all have a good time together and share the talent of Vegas. And it's really a glamorous Vegas type show, variety show. show, and that's next Wednesday in the Arts District here. It's called Till Seth Do Us Part, and it's very fun.
That's Tuesday, December 12th, or sorry, it's Tuesday, December 2nd. Sorry,
December 3rd. December 3rd. The 4th is Till Seth Do Us Part.
And then on the 4th for Seth Do Us Part.
Yes, and on the 5th on the 6th at the Dust Las Vegas, I will be doing also musical comedy variety show with three of my other gay boyfriends who are comedians and singers here in Vegas. And this Friday night, I'll be at the Tuscany singing on Kenny Davidson's Bow Tie Cabaret here in Las Vegas. So we're just having a party.
I love that. Guys, if you are in Vegas and you want to catch Seth, please follow in all of those places and check out those shows. Also, for me, you can always obviously follow me at the Fresh King Benjamin on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Also, follow Comedy Rumble Las Vegas if you want to follow the Comedy Rumble scene in Las Vegas. Comedy Rumble SLC if you want to follow the one in SLC. In terms of shows, this Friday the 29th, we have our Comedy Rumble All-Star show up here at Jordan Landing. So we've now done eight shows of Comedy Rumble, which means we have 8 winners. And now all 8 of those winners are going to compete for the ultimate bragging rights.
That's crazy.
It's going to be nuts.
When do we do that in Vegas? Oh, wait, it wouldn't matter because I lost. I'm not on.
Actually, no. So Seth, this is maybe a good time to announce this too.
Okay.
So 8 shows. And we've decided, Kay Banks and I decided that we're going to have that 8th show. This is probably going to be sometime in January. It's going to be the runners up. So everyone who took second will come back to recompete.
This is like, this is going to be the next Bridesmaids movie. This is so
it's going to be
all the bridesmaids.
All of the bridesmaids. But we're going to be doing the All-Star show in Salt Lake on Friday. And then we're doing another Comedy Rumble 4 in Vegas on Saturday with a whole new lineup of people.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome at the Arts District. Wise Guys.
So great.
So check those out. And Seth, thank you so much for being you and for being my friend and coming on this podcast. And everyone else, stay safe out there. It's the apocalypse.
Yes. No, don't. Look good. Apply the lip gloss. Thank you, Ben. I love you.